Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of those people, I hope you enjoyed the conversation and thanks so much for coming back. But for everyone out there who's new to the show, welcome. Feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer, soda, water, coffee, tea in the fridge. I just realized that I don't have a drink. It doesn't really matter. Everybody, welcome. I am drinkless. It's okay. Maybe I'll sneak off and get one in a little bit.
Yeah, I've got 2 drinks I could share.
Wow. Guest came prepared. So I'm sitting here today with somebody who I just met a couple minutes ago outside of my house. They helped me hang up some sheets to fix the lighting in this room. And this is another episode of Strangers in My House because we have never met before. I don't even know how to pronounce your last name.
Well, nobody does. That's okay.
And how about you just introduce yourself then, and I will save myself the public embarrassment of butchering your names.
Okay, this is exciting because I get to introduce myself to you and the audience at the same time.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well, my name's Sheridan. Last name is pronounced Woika, or however you want to say it, really. There's a lot of ways to spell it, a lot of ways to say it. And my first name's Sheridan. Is also hard to say and hard to spell. I tell people I was named that because I was conceived in a hotel. But it was a Days Inn, not a Sheraton.
Oh, okay.
But I do like being named Sheridan because there's no others.
Sure.
I'm a performer and artist because, of course, who isn't these days?
Mm-hmm.
And I also run a charity project. I'm the director of it called Helpin' At, locally in Pittsburgh. We've been operating for about a year and a half, probably. Started right when COVID started, and we've been getting a lot of really, really interesting, awesome things happening. I'm not sure when exactly this airs, but we do have some fun events coming up, and hopefully people listening will come and see those events and support us. And I am also a CRS, a state certified recovery specialist. I work in drug and alcohol as a peer support, just helping people out every day, all day.
Wow, there's a whole lot to unpack and get into there. So thank you for coming on the show to share your story and your experiences. So of all of these things, being an artist, musician, charity, helping out people, what was the first thing that Sheridan decided to do productively? Was it music and art and you got into helping people through that, or what was it? Tell me the story.
You pretty much got it on the nose, actually.
Okay, cool.
I always did music because it was an escape for me, and it was just something that helped me in making art. Just give me a place to be myself and a place to be comfortable and express myself. And that naturally kind of led me to the charity stuff. And that naturally kind of led me to the work I'm in because I'm in recovery myself. And art was a huge way that I got through that and pushed through that. So I think that art is a really underrated part of recovery that no one really talks about, but it's really important. And I think that's why some of the work I do with charity is really important, and it ties into my work and it ties into my art.
Absolutely.
So it's all connected. So it feels like it's all one big thing to me.
Absolutely. When you started making art and music, how different is the art that you started out doing, like when you were younger, different from what you do now?
Well, when I was younger, art was completely different because, I was like a punk kid, I grew up in a small town. There wasn't much to do. We're like the only punk band in the whole town. So even though we were really bad, people were interested because there's nothing else happening. And I was also, not great mental health at the time, obviously. Didn't have a good idea of how to self-care and didn't have a good idea how to really do much of anything and have healthy relationships, and it led to all these bad situations, But as I've grown, my art has really grown with it. And it's funny because I always think, it's unrecognizable from what I used to do, what I do now, because it's so different. I've grown so much, but really it's never that different. You're always still that crappy little kid somewhere deep within. That never really leaves, Yeah. So even though I'm not out here making folk punk music and being obnoxious, I'm still a little obnoxious.
Sure. I think that, no matter what, as your art evolves, if it's still your voice that's like at the core of it,
Yeah.
like it's going to be recognizable to you no matter what because it
Oh,
has like
absolutely.
the same DNA. It's
Yeah,
just wearing a different outfit.
yeah, there's still something in you that's there, and there was something of you now that was in there too.
Uh-huh.
You can kind of watch it crack like an egg.
Now, whenever you were, transitioning out of, or I guess like getting into like the whole like punk, folk punk scene,
Yeah,
punk rock in general, extreme music in general, even though that's not extreme, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
There is like this unfortunate the the curtain just fell. That's fine.
That's fine.
We're just gonna roll with it. There is this unfortunate sort of like underbelly of deviant behavior in these
Yes.
cultures, right? And like, what is that, and why do you think that it is such a thing? Why do you think that like, I guess there's deviant behavior in every culture,
Yeah.
but for some reason with like punk, I'm a big like heavy metal and hip hop guy, so there's
Yeah.
a whole lot of ding dongs where
There's
I'm
a lot of ding
where I'm
dongs.
coming from too, and
Yeah.
like trying to navigate that as somebody that still like loves this kind of music, but is finding themselves detached from a lot of the social
Yeah.
aspects that come with that music.
Yeah.
What has that journey been like for you?
It's tough, because um, punk and like extreme kind of scenes like that, any kind of niche kind of scene, like people who don't have a place to be, like come to that, and they form their own little world. But all kinds of different people come in there, and people who are at different points in their kind of life and their career and maybe their recovery from whatever it is. You
Yeah.
got people who have all been through some bad stuff, because you don't get involved with that kind of a community and get that close knit to it if you haven't been through some stuff where you have a reason to,
Sure.
and everybody's at a different point with that. And some people have kind of come out the other side of it and they are at a good point in their lives. I won't say good point in their lives, but you've got people who have come out the other side of it, and you've got people who are just entering it, just at the very beginning. And I think it can be really difficult. So yeah, you meet all kinds of interesting people, and the social aspect is tough. It's always tough. Meet new people, getting along with people. It's never easy.
I think that that's always the other thing that, at least it was a struggle for me, and I
Yeah.
don't think that it's unique by any means, but I was an artist as a kid, so obviously introverted as most artists are.
Yeah.
But then like you want to be a part of this community. So
Mhm.
it's like a community of introverts that are, it could be awkward
It's
around each
awkward.
other.
Yeah.
But then, you like trying to navigate like, I don't know. I always had like really hard issues with like trust and opening up to people and like
Oh, no doubt.
finding like the right people to trust in this realm where like even though
Yeah.
you feel like you should be comfortable around these people, it's like I'm not always comfortable around
Yeah.
those people. It's
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
it's like that's like I mean that's when I was like 14 and now I'm a lot older than 14 and it's like this hasn't gone away.
Yeah, it doesn't go away. And then, I've had like experiences where same kind of thing where I'm young and I don't really know how to trust people, and you kind of, I kind of pushed myself into that before I was maybe ready to, and ended up trusting the wrong kind of people, and getting involved with things I shouldn't have got involved with. And it's what happens when you have all these introverted people who are going through stuff and they're trying to go through it together, but you can't always do it by yourself. It's not easy.
Sure.
It's not just something you can just get through.
Yeah, and
It's tough.
I imagine it's probably harder too coming from like a small town environment like you mentioned
Yeah.
you did because I mean I grew up in the city, so I never lived in a tiny town with like no neighbors. I grew up
Yeah.
in the city in apartment buildings, city schools. Usually I'm like I was always so used to being around so many people
Mhm.
that it was easy for me to just kind of not exist and be in my own little bubble.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know what that's like in a small town if like everybody knows each other. Is it like
It
easy?
is.
Is it easy to be like to like kind of like be in your own bubble, or is there always somebody that's kind of like
There's
up your ass about something?
there's
Because
always somebody. I mean, literally wherever you go, pretty much everybody there.
Yeah.
Because we were there was a university nearby, so there was always new people coming in and out. But at the same time, if you grew up there, you grew up there, and literally anywhere you went, you'd run into 10 people.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just disappear into the crowd. And that's something I really like about living here, is that I can disappear in the crowd. I can just go a little bit outside my normal neighborhood, sit down at a cafe, I don't know these people. I'll never see them ever again.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. It's not something I've got to experience when I was younger.
Yeah, I think that that's sometimes, back in a time when I used to like go out of town more often. Um, I used to like to go up to New York. I have family that live in Manhattan,
Hmm.
and it used to be like honestly really relaxing for me to go up there, and
Yeah.
people would be like, "How is that?" Because like I'm like, because I just get left alone. Like you're
Yeah.
in this sea of chaos, but nobody gives a crap who you are.
Yeah.
If you can
I
find the
agree.
right way to just kind of navigate in the shadows of the chaos, I like find comfort in that. That might not be a good thing. I don't know. It makes me happy though. So
I know
whatever,
exactly
right?
what you mean. I feel the exact same way. Yeah.
What was it like moving from, the small town into a city? Had you spend a lot of time in the city before you had moved? I don't know if like the first city you moved to was Pittsburgh or not.
It was actually, yeah.
Okay.
But I did not spend a lot of time here. I was touring a bit, going to a few different places. Of all the, we didn't do huge tours. I think the farthest we went was like Virginia. Went up to Boston once. Like not terribly far, but the best city that I had been to was Pittsburgh. I just liked Pittsburgh, and there was just bad stuff in my hometown. I wanted to get out, and we just kind of packed up and moved. Without a lot of preparation.
Sure.
And we had like two friends in Pittsburgh. Most places we toured, we knew like one person, but here we knew two people.
Okay.
So we're like, let's go to Pittsburgh. And yeah, it was in the long term, it was an amazing idea, and I'm so glad we did because I really like being here. But um, it was a completely new experience.
Yeah.
I mean, just hadn't, and it's not like Pittsburgh is a massive city or something, but it was still such an adjustment.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people that haven't spent a lot of time outside of Pittsburgh but are from here, I think they take it for granted.
Yeah.
Because like it is a small city, but I've been to a lot of places, and I don't think it's just my like romanticizing or nostalgic nature for the city. There's a lot of really cool stuff here, and I think
There
that it's
is.
like every city has its issues. We can like
Well, yeah.
you can get into the red tape if you want to like really focus on negative things for
Yeah.
sure. But I still think that like just being like an art kid, if you are resourceful here, I think that it can be affordable and it can be a really fun place to live.
Yeah.
I know a lot of great people that live here. I've built my
Mhm.
life here and I
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's a nice place.
Yeah, I never thought I would end up staying here for a long time, really. But I've like really fallen in love with it here, and I've traveled still, and I still tour, and I still go places, and I always like Pittsburgh. I never get homesick for where I grew up too much.
Yeah.
But I get homesick for here. I really, really do like
That's
it here,
sweet.
and it's not perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
But I don't think
but it
that's
feels worth it to put the work in
sure.
in Pittsburgh and like make Pittsburgh what like it could be because I feel it.
Sure. I think that there are a lot of people here that do really give a shit about
Yeah.
making the city a better place. It's just like the power structure is always going to be very uneven.
Yeah.
So it's just something that, people need to continue to work at. But all terror and drama aside,
Mhm.
art, music.
Yeah.
So now, as somebody who has moved to Pittsburgh, you have this charity that you're doing. You're still making music and art
Mhm.
and touring and all that. Do you find that it is hard for you to find time to still do all of these things as you try to like maintain a normal adult life in the city, or do you find like a healthy balance with everything?
It is. You would think it's be hard. I think for a lot of people it is hard, but I think that I've successfully found a way to integrate. It's like because performing is really important to me. I can't just stop doing it. To me, it's like an essential part of my life and my self care and my just being myself. I just gotta have it. I gotta do it, and I don't feel like I have to squeeze it in because I feel like everything else almost has to squeeze in around it because I need to have it. If it ever comes down to like I just don't have time to like play a show I really want to play, I'm gonna make time. It's tough, and you do have to kind of make hard choices. But I think if something is that important to you, you got to let it be.
Yeah.
important to you.
Yeah, I think that the question always comes up with me and sometimes friends that I know, and they're asking me about like how do you find time to make X, Y, and Z happen? And I
Yeah.
just think that really, if you want to genuinely do something, you can make that time.
Yeah, you can't find that time. You
Yeah.
have to just make it.
Yeah, it's like the same energy that you put into like binging all of Stranger Things in one night. You could have
Yeah.
easily put that into working on a painting or writing a song if you really wanted to.
You could have, but also watching all of it in one night might inspire you to make a really cool painting tomorrow.
Totally. I think that there's sometimes this, it's like you kind of want something, but the willingness to work for it. And again, this bring that conversation of putting in the work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes can be a big hurdle for a lot of people.
It's-
Even if
yeah.
they have the talent, there's something like some sort of a mental block, whether it's like internal or external forces that are convincing them that for some reason they can't do what they want to do, or that they shouldn't do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
It's all about putting in the work, no matter what it is. Whether it's any of the things I do or anybody does. It's hard work. It's never easy, you
Mhm.
know? It's like playing shows is hard work. Making music is hard work. Doing charity stuff is hard work. And recovery is hard work. Whatever it is. Mental health is hard work. You know?
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work, and finding the motivation is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Pittsburgh has a really good atmosphere. Somehow it inspires me to just be willing to like roll up my sleeves and do the hard work on myself and on what I care about.
Yeah. So, with the change that happened from, being a teenager and art and all your personal changes that
Right,
you've
yeah.
made moving forward, how has that affected like the content of your work? I know we mentioned
Oh,
the
yeah.
style being different, but like
Yeah.
the content itself.
Oh, content completely. Because I mean, as a kid, you don't really know anything. I mean, you don't know anything when you're a kid.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, in growing and in just learning who you are and what matters to you, you learn about a lot about what really matters to you, and you sort of find your voice. And yeah, I think at some point in there, I found my voice, and there was a very rocky path. It wasn't just oh, now I get what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rocky path, but I think I'm at a point now where I've definitely found my voice, and I'm writing about stuff I care about, even if it doesn't make sense to anybody else.
When you're continuing to find things to write about, I've always found that it's hard sometimes. Uh, Once I got to a point where like I was in a pretty like low place personally in my life, right? But it was also a very there was a lot of creative output because I really had nowhere else to put everything that I was going through, right?
Yeah.
And then we fast forward a few years and I'm in a much better place mentally and physically, and everything's like I'm good. We're locked in. Awesome.
Yeah.
But now I don't always know what to write about.
Yeah, but now what?
Yeah, like what do I like? Where do I pull? I'm like, but it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't want to keep on writing from these dark places. But it's like,
yes.
that was like my whole life, though.
I
It's
know
like, how do I
exactly what you
continue to
mean.
like do art, but like
That's
filter it through like some sort of positivity? Because yeah,
like so
Have
much
you-
of my life is about that idea of like, well, what now? Lately, that's what it is. Because like, I'm in recovery. I'm in a pretty good place. I'm like, and I'm not homeless. I have a stable place to live. I'm in like good relationships. I like know how to deal with people and express myself, and like I have like a job, and like things are pretty good for me for the first time in my life. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, now what? You set all these goals for yourself, and if you meet them or you get to a point where you feel okay, you could never really imagine a point where you would just feel okay and things were
Totally.
fine. You don't know how to imagine it. So when it's here, you're just lost.
yeah,
And that's it's funny you bring that up, because that's really encompassing so much of my life in all of it, in
Uh-huh.
music and in recovery, because it's the question of what now.
sure.
Now what do? You have to start from scratch and figure out who you are.
I feel
know?
like there's this part of like the DIY culture, not necessarily just like music, but I think just being like an artist and self-made, or however, whatever trendy social media term, hashtag on the grind or whatever, right? But I feel like you're always supposed to feel like you should always be working towards the next thing.
Yeah.
But like, what is the end goal? I kind of realized, a year or two ago, like once like I really kind of got everything fixed in, I'm like, okay, like I have a job that I love, working in a field that I care a lot about.
Yeah.
I have a partner that I love. I have a house that is great.
Yeah.
I'm in a band with my best friends. I make art and do what I, like I
Yeah,
can, if I want
like things
to,
are good.
if I want to go out and spend too much money on tacos in some place with bullshit Edison light bulbs, I could do that.
Yeah,
I could do that. Like,
exactly.
what else should I really be like thriving for? Or should I
Yeah,
just take the time to like pump the brakes and like actually enjoy these things that I've worked for a bit?
yeah.
Do I need to keep fucking working?
I know exactly what you mean. The grind culture is my least favorite thing probably in the world. I would say top 10 worst things. Either number one or number two is the grind idea.
Yeah.
I really hate it. But yeah, like I know exactly what you mean. You get to this point where you're okay, and it's this balance between like, is this just like okay, and like I'm kind of settling, and like should I be doing more, or is it okay to just like be like okay right now?
Yeah.
You know, like, are you just kind of treading water, barely here, or are you really in a place where you're good and you should let yourself be good? You know,
Yeah.
it's a tough balance.
Yeah, I had actually like this epiphany really came to me as a result of somebody who I used to be in a band with. They were talking to me like kind of like I don't know if they were just like talking down to me or if they're just somebody that isn't good at expressing uh inspirational messaging. But like they basically were like really trying to like make me, it felt like to me at the time that they were trying to make me feel bad about myself because I didn't like think that it was like necessary for me to like, quit my job and try to tour 24/7 and do all of this stuff as like a 30-year-old male. And I'm just like, okay, like but like okay, like I get where you're coming from,
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, I'm, like, happy with what I
yeah,
have right now, and, like, if you're not happy with what you have, that's okay, but, like,
yeah,
I just felt like it was, like, this weird attack on me as if, like,
yeah,
all of this work that I've done means absolutely nothing
yeah. Like it
because I
means
don't
nothing.
wanna, like, tour full time right now. I wanna take the time to enjoy my life. It's
Exactly.
like, "Oh, like, I would never wanna just, like, plateau." I'm like,
Yeah, fuck
"Plateau?
plateau.
I'm at the top of the mountain enjoying the view."
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah, that's why this grind thing is so
that
terrible.
guy
Because
sucks.
he sounds like he sucks,
Yes.
and if he's listening, you
Oh,
suck.
no, he's not. He's probably too busy looking in a mirror.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's a point where you have to let yourself be okay, and I've seen it a lot because I do get that anxiety of like, shouldn't I be doing more? Shouldn't I be doing more? And somebody has to, whether my partner, my friend, or somebody has to just look at me and be like, you're good. You're doing all this stuff. You're good. Like you're fine. You don't have to do more shit if you don't want to do more shit. You
Yeah.
can be happy how you are.
Yeah, I think that there's so much of the internet and our habits with social media that, like, convince us that we need to be doing stuff constantly. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the world's gonna forget about us or something like that, and
Yeah.
it's just like, it's fine. The world's not gonna
The
forget
world's not
about
gonna
you
forget.
as long as you've, like, made some sort of a positive impact on them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But but I also, as an artist, I totally empathize because I still catch myself like, oh crap, like I haven't posted anything about my band in a week.
I know, and everybody does that.
How are we ever gonna take over the world?
I think the thing that helps me with that kind of thinking, because everybody gets it. Everybody who does any kind of performing or producing or making any kind of a show or anything, you get that thing of like, oh no, I gotta post. People forget about me. I gotta make a post. I gotta promote this a lot.
Uh-huh.
I think what catches me is knowing that literally everybody else is thinking that all the time. So now in
Oh
the back
yeah.
of my head, whenever I see a post from like another band or like a producer or something that's just like a post for the post's sake, I'm like, you guys made that because you felt like you had to,
Sure.
you know? So
Sure.
whenever I'm making a post, I try to think, am I doing this because I have to? Like, or because I'm supposed to, or because I'm doing it because I really want to?
I think it kind of goes back to that conversation about talking about how you can get something done if you really want to get it done. I feel like
Yeah.
that some form of that idea should really translate to our use with social media. Like, am I on this because I have nothing to do? Or am I on this because I genuinely am curious in what my friends are up to?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, I can't even remember the last time that I opened up Instagram with the thought, I wonder what my friends are up to. I don't even
Yeah.
think about opening it. It just happens,
Yeah, it just
right?
happens.
And then 10 minutes later, it's like, oh yeah, I was supposed to bring the groceries in, or something like really
Yeah.
obscure.
I've gotten in the habit of because of course I struggle with that because I'm living in this time. Like we all struggle with that. Um, I've gotten in the habit of calling people a lot more, which is something I've always been terrified to do because I don't like talking on the phone. Or I mean, I used to really, really, really hate it, but now I've gotten in the habit of just calling people out of the blue. And the first time you do it to somebody, they're like, "What are you doing?" Like even if they're your friend, they're like, "Are you okay?" You know what I mean?
Sure.
But once you've gotten past that, like, because it happened, like, a friend I hadn't talked to in years called me in, like, 2 AM, and I was like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" They're like, "No, no, just like, what's up?" And I was like, "Really? Like, you can do" like, my mind was, like, blown. I didn't know you could do that. It just, like, changed me. So, like, the next day, I just called a friend I hadn't talked to in a little bit. He's like, "What's up? Are you okay? What's going on?" And I'm like, "What's up? Like, how are you?" It's really nice, and then I don't really have to wonder. And then whenever I see their social media posts, I know what was really going through their head, so it helps me not overthink it, you
Uh-huh.
know? Because sometimes you see people's posts and you overthink it because you think everyone's thinking about your post really, really, really hard, but they're not.
No. They're probably just scrolling right past
They
it.
just see it, they might hit like, it's like, "Oh, I like that person,"
Yeah.
and then they'll go.
Yeah, that's the thing that, like, really, kind of the one thing that I wish I wasn't aware of, but I guess it's better that I am, is in terms of, like, sharing my art online, and when I'm sharing it from, like a if I'm sharing it from, like, a band page or something like that, it's a little bit different than if it's shared from my personal page because there are some
Mhm.
people that, like, follow our band that I have no idea who they are.
Yeah,
So it's,
that's
like, a
true.
little bit more genuine. But
Yeah.
most of the time, if I'm sharing something from a personal page and there are people that are liking it, it's like, you're just liking this because you like me, which is nice.
Yeah.
That's wholesome, but I wish there was more digestion of the content sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's, like, whatever. You can't make people check out things that they don't either want to or they don't have the time to.
Yeah.
But it's like funny because like I remember it still happens. Like, there are people that like still ask me if like when the next time my old band is playing a show and like we
Mhm.
haven't been a band for like 2 years or like,
Yeah.
things that are like, but it's like strange because like those same people like your posts online
Mhm.
and then they ask questions that contradict them seeing your
Yeah.
things. It's like, so it's like, did you actually read these
Yeah.
things that
That's another thing that kinda helps you realize not to overthink your kinds of posts, you know what I mean?
uh-huh.
Because people will see it and be like, "Cool," they won't even read
Yeah,
it.
it's so weird.
It is weird, but
Why are we in a place that we feel like we need to do that?
it's weird, it reminds me of a conversation I was having the other day,
Okay.
okay? So I was playing this show recently, and we made a flyer, because you make a flyer when you do a show, and I was at the show with people, and we were talking, and we were all like we all came because we either knew somebody or someone asked us to come, we were friends with somebody, and I said, "Has anyone ever been at a show and thought, 'Man, I'm glad I saw that flyer because I wouldn't have known this show was happening.' Or like, I came because of the flyer." I don't think any human being has ever done that, right?
I
Just
think
see a flyer and then just go?
when I was in high school for sure, but that was before social media.
Yeah, like, before social media, maybe, but, like, every show, they make a flyer, and then like, for
Are
what?
you talking like a physical flyer or like digital or anything?
Anything.
I think a digital advertisement
Digital
helps.
advertisements are fun because they're, like, fun to make and cool.
Yeah, I mean, like if I see like I had some friends that played a show recently. It was actually like it was 3 bands and all of them had been on the podcast before. So I felt like obligated to go
Yeah.
because like for one, it's like I hadn't had a chance to actually just go to a local show in a very long time
Well, yeah.
because of things. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. It's close to my house. I know all of these people. And it was really just because I saw the flyer on Facebook.
There you go. Well, the
So
twist to my story was we were all thinking, "Oh, no one has ever gone just because of a flyer." And the one dude in the conversation goes, "I just came because of the flyer. I thought it sounded cool. And I checked out the bands and they were good, so I came." And I was like, "All right, I didn't
yeah.
know. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know. Amazing."
Yeah. I sometimes like to think that I know how the world works and or I assume that the rest of the world interfaces with it the same way that I do.
Yeah,
But that's so not true.
it's
Everybody
not true.
has their own little things, right?
That's true. I mean, yeah, I always think that, you understand everything. You don't understand anything. I don't know. Your worldview can change in an instant, and mine does
Uh-huh.
all the time. There's so many times. I mean, I'm a weird guy. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a weird guy. So there's a lot of times I think something is like, oh, everyone thinks that. That's normal. That's totally exactly right. And I am the only person in the entire world who thinks like that every time.
That's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's I think that everybody has those quirks. I think that it's mostly just crucial to know that or to like be aware of
Yeah.
that and just know that
Yeah.
it's like this I don't know. I'm not smart enough to explain it. It's like this
Mm.
balance of realizing that like you aren't unique, but you are still unique in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like maybe the things that make you unique aren't always the things that you think
Yeah,
make you
exactly.
unique. There's something like
You
that,
gotta
right?
stay open and open to new things, and you can't be too invested in your own personal idea of yourself. Because it's
Mhm.
probably, everybody sees you different.
Yeah. Whenever were transitioning, a lifestyle change and,
Oh yeah.
if you going into recovery and things like that, were there any like new hobbies that you picked up that you like hadn't really done before? Because obviously you were already doing music prior.
Yeah. That's a good
Um,
question though.
I'm just curious, like what, like, because there's always like different ways, like how do we fill our time with things that used to be like toxic behaviors? Because that
Yeah,
space is there. Like, how do you?
exactly.
And I think that's a huge hurdle for a lot of people, right?
It
Like, what do
is.
we do with that
I
time?
got really depressed when my life first started kind of changing. I first started going into recovery because you suddenly have all this time. You suddenly have a lot less friends because you have to cut off a lot of toxic people.
Yeah,
That's an unfortunate part of it. Well, unfortunate it seems at the time, but it's really, really important in the long run. It's just
totally.
really hard.
Hmm.
But now you have all this time. You don't have the same friends anymore. You're not going to the same places. You're not going to the same parties. You're doing different things. You got all this time. You got to find something to do. And for me, it was I tried to learn more instruments
Okay, cool.
because I knew how to play piano from being when I was a kid, took piano lessons, and I knew how to play guitar. When I was a teenager, I learned how to play guitar. And I started taking piano really more seriously. I got a decent keyboard. I started playing it like an hour every day or more, just playing it all night, all the time, trying to get good at it. Now I'm pretty good at piano.
Nice. Congrats.
And then as I started having, a little bit of extra money and a little bit of extra time, I started getting different instruments. I picked trombone back up. I learned it as a kid and I started getting good at that. Learned the trumpet, learned the violin a little bit, learned the banjo and the mandolin, learned the French horn a little bit, learned the clarinet a little bit, and I just kept going. And now I can play every instrument pretty much a little bit. And at a certain point in my recovery, when I started learning more instruments, I set a goal for myself. And I said, by the time I am old, by the time I'm an old person, whatever that means, I'm going to know how to play every instrument, at least a little. I could pick up an instrument and play a little tune, not be a virtuoso.
Nice.
But I think I could make that goal happen.
Now, as like an artist, how
Yeah.
has learning all of these different instruments changed the way that you approach songwriting?
Oh my God, it changed it completely. Well, because now I have a million different instruments. I can arrange my music,
Uh huh.
orchestrally, and I don't have to, I can just do it myself. It's really exciting. And every new instrument you learn, you get a completely new ear for the way things sound. I can't explain it. But I don't know. Have you ever like learned a new instrument from scratch or like learned to do something like that?
Sure.
Or like if you ever, I don't know, you didn't used to play drums and now you play drums. Music just sounds different now.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Hmm.
Or like before I knew how to play bass, and then after I learned bass, every song I heard just sounded different.
So here's a really, really silly metaphor for what
Okay.
you're talking
Yes.
about. Ranch dressing. I loved ranch dressing as a kid. And then I got a little bit older and I was like, you go to a restaurant and they always have this big old jug of house made ranch dressing.
Yeah.
That means that I can make ranch dressing in my house.
Yeah.
So I can make my own ranch dressing.
Mhm.
So I learn how to make ranch dressing, right?
And once you make it,
Once I make it, now I'm like, oh, all I taste is mayonnaise.
yeah.
Now I can't eat ranch dressing. It just
It's
tastes like
different.
it's like 'cause it's so much.
Mhm.
That's like once like what's in it,
Mhm.
that's all I can see or taste. Or like
Yeah.
now, like with music, it's like,
Mhm.
oh, like I understand how that drum part works.
Yeah,
Now that's all I hear.
In a way, it ruins the magic almost.
Yeah,
Because
totally.
it used to
The magic of ranch dressing.
Yeah.
That's the most Pittsburgh ass shit I've ever said on this podcast.
It ruins the magic
Uh-huh.
of it once you know how the sausage is made.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. They-
I know how to play drums a little now, and before I would hear a really cool drum beat and just be like, "Oh, that's so cool." And now I'm like, "Well, I can't do it, but I understand how they did it." It's less magical, and you might think that's kind of sad that it's less magical, but there's another different kind of magic
Mhm.
in knowing how it works and knowing that, like, if I really tried, I could do that too. and that's even more magical.
Yeah,
So I like that.
I think that I enjoy the way that I interface with a lot of art these days, but it has definitely changed. We like it's just different, you know?
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of stuff that I liked when I was a kid that I definitely don't like anymore as a result of my knowledge, and I kinda miss just being able to listen to something or watch something with just, like, no idea of, like, just being able to watch something with, like, a pure heart and mind, right?
Yeah. No, totally.
And I also have a really bad habit of, like, being interested in too many things.
Mm.
So, I continually, like, ruin the things that I like in
Yeah.
some way because I, like,
Yeah.
have to, like, involve myself in it and learn how it's
Yeah,
done.
because the magic goes away.
But
Everything you don't understand is magic till you
yeah,
do.
yeah, it's a different magic like you had
Yeah.
mentioned, but it's just there's not many things that I have in my life now where it's like I can just enjoy it and I don't have to like there isn't one part of my brain that's like critically dissecting how like the gears are turning and whatever it
Yeah.
is, whether
Yeah.
it's like uh cooking or watching a movie
Yeah.
or going to Disney World or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. Like
Yeah, it's
whatever
different.
random thing you could do, I'm like my brain's always on. I can never just turn off.
Yeah. I struggle with that same thing. Um, I think something that helps with that for me, and this is my recommendation to you.
Nice. I'll take it.
um, like I had a show last night, and seeing live music, always when it's like local people, it always untwists my gears a little bit because I've seen guys play guitar and sing a million times, but every time it's like a little bit different because you can't, no matter how hard you try, sound exactly like somebody else when you're singing or playing guitar or anything. So as I'm watching live, I'm kind of focusing on what makes it different and know that even when that other kind of magic I was talking about, like knowing you could do it, of that going beyond that of seeing like I could never do exactly that. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I couldn't even really do an impression of this person because I just can't be them. And I can't write the same songs they write. I never could.
yeah.
Their songs are theirs. And that's where I have to find the magic now. Instead of like, I don't know how they just did that. I'm gonna go, I would never write exactly that. And I never will, you know? So that's the new magic for me.
That's awesome. I've never I don't think that I've been um I guess I don't know if I've been like selfless enough to think about that like when watching other people perform
Well, think about
always.
it next time. I bet you will. I bet it'll stick in your head and you will.
Totally. It definitely will stick in my head. I think that I'm always I don't know what it is. I think that whenever I see bands play for the first time, I'm always like, okay, like what's gonna go wrong? Like that's not a healthy way to look at stuff.
Well,
But
yeah.
I'm like, what is this? I guess maybe it goes back to that whole like lack of trust. And anytime
Yeah.
there's like a local band or something that like I don't know who they are, I'm like so
You're
apprehensive at
skeptical.
first because
Yeah.
it's like, who are you?
Yes.
What is this?
Well, skepticism is like what comes naturally at any kind of performance,
I guess so. Yeah.
As like a performer, you're going to spend the first two songs just trying to address that skepticism of being like, trust me, I'm allowed to be here. This is okay. I'm not awful, I promise. And like I'm not going to bother you. I'm not going to make you upset.
As a performer of multiple instruments now, how is this impacting your live performance? Are you still trying to keep the live performance pretty simple? Or are you bringing like 10,000 things to a show now?
Literally, if I could play the French horn and the bass and drums and everything at the same time, I would. I would. And for a brief time, I was like doing the backup tracks on the computer and having like a mixer and things. That's just too complicated for me. I'm a simple guy. I like simple things. I like vanilla ice cream. I like plain pickles, not the spicy ones
Okay.
that come in that little bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm a plain simple guy. So I don't like the backup tracks. I don't like having a million things. I'll play the songs the best I can play with just one instrument. I'll usually have piano. I'll do a couple songs on guitar, and then I'll do some more on piano. But and then for a while, I got in the habit of like, well, I'm playing piano, kind of wishing the rest was there. Like imagining the drums and the horns in my head. But it's you can't do that. You got to make the best of what you have.
Yeah,
So what I do
totally.
is make the best of what I have, and I say, I'm gonna play this song the best I can possibly play it with just this, what's in front of me, and not think about how it's supposed to sound or how it could.
Yeah.
You know? And
I
that
th-
makes it special every time.
I think that goes back to, I mean, most people aren't gonna know like your music as well as you do.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
hearing something for the first time, or maybe they've seen you play before, they're gonna get a different experience every time. And if they
Yeah.
do maybe listen to your studio albums, 'cause I'm
Mhm.
assuming that maybe you just do more production when you're recording, like you're
Yeah.
doing all those layers and
Yeah, when
everything,
I'm
right?
recording, I get to play everything.
Yeah.
So it's.
Have you ever like considered like trying to like work with other musicians in a live environment again,
Yeah.
or is it like
Yeah.
with your music?
Yeah. I have done a couple shows where I get friends to come and play with me, and I really do like it, but I really feel most comfortable when it's just me being myself on a stage by myself and just getting to express myself and play my own songs a little different every time and just get a weird little moment to just be a little freak and
Yeah.
just me. And I don't have to worry about because if I want to just do the song different suddenly and I decide I don't want to go to this chord anymore because I have a new idea, it's nice to be able to do that and not have
Cool.
to worry if anyone has to, guess what I'm doing.
Sure.
So there was a time when I played a couple of live shows with friends of mine who are honestly much more technically talented than me, and they went to music school and they like know all this very fancy, fancy stuff
Mhm.
and I got them to play with me. Not because my songs were really that difficult. I like to do interesting creative things, but I'm not writing super progressive, very difficult music. But because of the musical training, they're able to put up with me just playing the song in the way I felt like playing it because I can't restrict myself to playing it how I'm supposed to. I'll change it while I'm doing it, and they were sharp enough to do that. But that was a lot of work to put on them, and I know it.
Sure.
you know,
Uh-huh.
so I do like playing by myself. There's a magic to it.
Yeah. When you are in the studio and you're writing music, do you ever collaborate with other people, or do you also prefer to keep that like an isolated thing?
I collaborated more in the past, but now I really like to do it all by myself because I'm saying the word magic so much, but it's magical. You alone in the room because I have a crazy studio setup. I have a couple of microphones in my space, and it's just my space, and it's just for that. And I do everything there by myself. And when it's just me in there focusing, like in it, there's nothing else. Like the
Yeah.
whole world is just that. It's just this. You know,
Mhm.
and I don't want to lose that. And to me, collaborating is opening that bubble. You know, but it's nice to have a space that's just me.
I understand, yeah. It can be really, really difficult, when you have this very singular personal vision, bringing other people in because now
Now it becomes its own
it's like
different
it's
thing,
like
which
it
is fun.
sure, it's like letting somebody go through your closet and have them pick out your outfit.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, like, yes, these are my clothes, but I wouldn't have put them together this way, and I guess this is fine, but I don't know, I think I would have rather just done this myself.
Yeah, when I collaborate, it's very different.
Mhm.
When I go in with the intention of collaborating with someone, just working together on my stuff or their stuff, it turns into something totally different,
Sure.
which is fun, and I love doing that. But I'll always have a need for just me.
Yeah, I think that I had a really hard time, almost like an opposite of you, which is interesting because I was doing solo music and I played a show with a band. And like after it happened once, it was really hard for me to go back to playing without a band.
Yeah,
But it was also really hard for me to relinquish the control to like let the people like come in and not just play what I wrote, to like
yeah,
give them the creative freedom to change things and make it
yeah.
more their own. It took like years to like
It's
get
tough.
comfortable with that and also to like find the right people that I trust to be in that circle with
Yeah,
me, right? Cuz it's still very much my voice, my thing. I'm
yeah,
kind of it's not like a what I say goes, but
yeah.
it
But
kind of is,
yeah,
right? And like
yeah,
but I still want everybody else to be a part of it. But it took a
no
long
doubt.
time. It definitely took a long time
Yeah,
to like get comfortable with the power of collaboration because I spent so much time not doing that.
yeah, exactly. I think it's definitely difficult to adapt to it because there are people who want to be very, very controlling and in charge of it. And I think that's why I like to separate my stuff as just me because um, it allows me to kind of be a little selfish, to know that like what I want to make is just what I want to make, and I'm going to make it. Okay. And I don't have to ask, okay, is that okay? Because it is, because it's just me. I don't have
Totally.
to ask permission.
Uh-huh.
And, there's almost nothing else in this life where you can just do it and not worry even for a second about like, oh, am I making a mess? Am I making this harder for somebody else? Am I getting in the way? Am I doing something wrong? You know what I mean? But making music by yourself, you don't have to apologize. You don't have to ask permission. You can just do it. It's pretty great. It's allowing yourself to be a little selfish for once.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
With learning all of the different instruments that you did, and you're learning your your ears changing and you're absorbing things differently now because you have a better understanding of like a wide variety of music,
Yeah.
musical instruments. Has it like opened up your doors as a listener to any different styles of music that maybe you wouldn't
Hmm.
have like thought much about or listened to at all prior?
It has. I used to, when I was a kid, only really listen to like punk music and hardcore music. I thought that's what cool kids listen to. You know what I
Sure.
mean? I
Yeah.
don't know. But honestly, these days I will turn on like college radio in the car, or just like weird little AM stations. Listen to anything.
Yeah.
You never know what you never know what's gonna inspire you. Never know.
Was there anything that like you found in this like new discovery that like you really, really, really liked, or is it just like you're just happy to take in the information?
I like to listen to um I like shared a meme a little bit ago that was like it was like a text conversation. It's like, hey, can I send you some new music? And the person's like, no, I already found all the songs I like. And on some level I do feel like that. But I like to listen to something new all the time. Because what's more exciting than that? You never know what's gonna happen next because you never heard it before.
Hmm.
So I like to listen to something brand new all the time. So like even though like it's like as like a music guy, it's wrong to not just listen to full albums all the time because it's like not correct. And like I get that, I respect that, but if I just want to turn on my Spotify and say play me whatever and just keep going, to me that's good. To me that's what I like.
You seem like a very positive, kind spirit.
I'm positive. I'm very positive.
I'm very curious though,
Mhm.
in terms of art or creativity. Is there anything that you really don't like from a
Mm.
musical perspective? Is there anything that you're very much like, I'm open to whatever, but I don't know about that?
Here's the thing. This isn't even like me being a mean. I'm a nice guy, so I'm not going to
So-
say it in a mean way.
Yeah, I understand.
But if I'm going to a show and it's a just regular guy with a guitar, and he says this song is about my ex, I'm not going to like it. I'm just not going to like it. I'm not going to like it. I don't want to hear about your ex in any context.
Sure.
Especially with your singing about it. Because, like, I don't know, like, I think if you're going to write about your ex, you should let your ex come on stage and sing about you right after.
Okay.
Because
Totally.
it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't want to hear about that. That's my only pet peeve with music, really. Anything else is fine.
Yeah.
You can write about whatever, but I don't want to hear about your ex.
Yeah. I can relate with that. And I'm definitely somebody that has been guilty of writing songs like that.
Well, everybody has.
I think it's just a thing that you got to do. I think it's part of, I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably impossible to like, again, we're talking about like writing songs
Yeah.
from negative experiences and things like that. And for some people, like that could be like pretty traumatic depending on like how
can be.
serious it was. And
Yeah.
I think there probably is a tasteful way to go about exploring that dialogue.
Oh, no doubt.
But I think that there's something that is kind of like, the way that you present it to a crowd.
yeah, there's
Like,
that certain
I wrote
kind
this
of.
song about my bitch ex.
It's
like,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. There's a certain type of like X song. You know what I
Sure.
mean? That is like,
Like any pop punk song ever.
yeah, like I just don't need that in my life, to be honest. You know what I mean? I just try to keep some positive energy. Even in songs when I'm writing about something really deep to my heart and really something important, I like to have some positivity in there. You gotta
Sure.
have some balance. Because if it's just negative all the time and just sad and traumatic all the time, there's no contrast. So it
So-
just starts to wash away.
Like, what is your personal relationship still with like, do you still listen to like any of like the punk or hardcore stuff that you used to listen to when you were younger? Have you kind of like separated from it?
I've separated from it a bit. Yeah, I can't deny it. I'm not as into heavy music anymore, and I'm a lot more into just my favorite genre. Really, is people with weird voices.
Okay.
I just like people with weird singing voice because I have a weird singing voice. So if you write kind of weird songs with a weird singing voice, if you're really, really dynamic, when it came in, one of the first things I said is you have a Björk record sticking out.
Uh-huh.
I love Björk because it's like she has a really weird voice and it's so dynamic. It just writes really weird songs. But they're not just weird because it's like, oh, we're being silly. It's weird because it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's always really inspired me. That's what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not weird because I'm trying to be goofy and freak you out. I'm just kind of a weird guy.
Yeah. It's
So I like people with weird voices.
yeah, you're just being Sheridan.
Yeah.
But by proxy, there's a little bit of a uniqueness. And if you want to use the word weird, there's a
Yeah.
weirdness to it.
Yeah.
But I might argue something that is like an artist that is like so finely trained where everything is perfect or it's digitally manipulated to be perfect and
Yeah.
everything is flawless. Like to me, that's kind of weird.
It freaks me out.
Yeah,
You know?
that's like a uncanny valley sort of thing with like an auditory experience. Like,
Yes.
how can a human being produce something so perfect? This doesn't sound right to me.
You know, back when I was making punk music, I met this guy who was like, had been a producer for a long time. He's like an older guy and he was like very talented producer. I remember telling him before I like really recorded any music, like, how am I supposed to play the whole song in the studio without even a crowd in front of me and not make any mistake? Just play the whole song right the whole time? Like, people don't do that. Have you ever been to a show, sir?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people make mistakes and they can't play it perfectly the whole time. But if you're on the record, you're expected to not make a single mistake for the whole song. If you have songs that are kind of long, I got songs that are kind of long. I'm not going to play it completely perfect every time. So, my rule is I always go with the first draft. First take, that's the take.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I make a mistake, I'll barrel through it. And you probably don't even notice. Because to everybody else, it doesn't seem like a mistake, you know? But mistakes are an important part of the process, in my opinion.
Why do you think that?
Well, because that's how you play it. If you pick up the guitar or the piano and you play the song and you made a mistake, that's how you played it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's that moment. And to me, the recording is capturing that moment and the energy of it in that moment.
Yeah. I think that I actually I do agree with you. I
Yeah.
was just curious to get your take on it. I think that there's this weird thing where you're approaching audio production and recording from this perspective to me that seems like this is almost like every audio recording should kind of be like just a live recording. It's like a snapshot. It's like a photograph of you in that moment. Like sometimes there might be a picture of yourself that isn't the most flattering, but you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever, this was a good day. This is a nice memory, right?
Yeah.
So like a song should be like that.
Oh,
Instead
no
of like
doubt.
this like thing where it's like a lot of people treat every single song as if it's like the cover of the next issue of Cosmopolitan, where everything kind of has to be airbrushed and tweaked and super
Yeah.
perfect, and like
You don't gotta do that.
it all has to be this like perfect representation. It's like some parts of like underground music. I think there's always like even people like me that I'm not trying to get signed or be a super duper professional
Yeah.
top tier musician,
Yeah.
but I still treat my studio work like that.
Yeah.
I still feel like
Yeah,
I
that
need
impulse
to
is
like
there.
record everything like super accurately, but also like I enjoy the production side of things
Yeah.
because I record.
I mean, I
all
enjoy
my
the
stuff
production
too,
side
so-
of things too. I mean, I like to make things as good as they can sound and really work on it. And then, when I get that snapshot, I can do all the horns and all the other stuff and build off that snapshot and really, amplify and accentuate what that moment is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is this urge to like make everything, treat everything like it's the cover of something,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's the next huge big deal.
Like everything, like this is gonna be the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Not
like-
everything has to be the thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just what it is.
It's like you're not
and everybody's expecting that of themselves
sure,
to have
sure.
the perfect thing, but no one's expecting that of you.
Sure. And it's like, are you doing this piece of art, whatever it is, whether it's a song or a painting or whatever?
Yeah.
Are you doing this for yourself, or are you actually doing this just to get the approval of other people?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that if you're so focused on the approval of others, it's
Mhm.
really going to pull away from the art.
Yeah, it's tough to get yourself in that mindset, but the rule you're gonna have to follow when making art, I think, is do you like it?
Yeah.
I mean, can you look at it honestly and say, I think this is good? Then it's good. It doesn't matter anything else.
I think it's very equivalent to how I feel like fashion is. I
Yeah.
feel like you can get away with wearing anything if you think
Oh,
it looks good.
oh, absolutely. You can rock anything if you want to rock it.
Yeah, it's
That's true in all parts of life.
yeah,
No doubt.
So I think it's so much of the confidence that you carry around it, and unfortunately, sometimes for artists, it's real easy to be like either modest or kind of talk down about your work when explaining it to other people. I'm
Mhm.
super guilty of that, and I wish I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because like, a lot of my music is so like animated and weird and goofy, right?
But you
But
believe in it. You care
I
about
do
it.
believe in it,
Yeah.
but when I have a hard time like explaining it to people, I can't explain it in a way that I feel carries the same weight of like animated
Yeah.
characteristics. Like, so what's it like? I'm like, oh, it's like it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And like I wish that my response would be like, it's
Yeah.
whatever the fuck I want it to be.
Yeah,
Listen to it,
that's
love
what it is.
I just can't.
See,
I'm
that's
not
the energy that I want
know.
to inspire people to have, because that's the energy I have. Really. I mean, like, I love this stuff. I'm passionate about this stuff. I really care about stuff I'm making, and I can't pretend not to anymore.
Yeah, totally.
I can't like lie about it and say like, oh, it's pretty cool. You should book me maybe. I don't know, it'd be cool. Check it out. I can't do that. Like, I love this shit. I think it's important. And I
Yeah.
want people to hear it. I really do. I can't be this chill, cool guy, because I'm not.
Sure.
And I want to inspire people to have that energy, because everybody's got it in there. Because if you're making something you care about it. It's in your heart. You just got to reach in, find it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Motivational words. I love it.
I'm a very positive guy.
Yeah, I see that. I totally see that. And I think that it's great that, I'm meeting you for the first time today. So I don't know, what, other times in your life were like, but I think it's super awesome that you were able to get to this place now where you seem very confident in yourself and the life
Yeah.
that you've built around yourself. And you're doing a lot of cool things, not only for yourself, but for other people.
Thank you. Well, that's a really actually good point, is like focusing on it now. Because if I was going to mention anything about recovery, that's really what I was going to mention. Is everyone always asks about, well, what was the hardest thing? And like, what was your, rock bottom and all this? That doesn't matter. What matters is, where are you at now? Like,
Totally.
you made it here. Like, what are you after that? That's way more important. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, I think that sometimes it's like unfortunate. Like people want to know, like sometimes like the dark stuff because like they want to compare it to their low point, and it makes them feel like it's
Yeah.
like it's really like I don't think it's like intentional, but it's like a human nature thing where
It
it's like,
is.
oh, like you're going through something, I went through something too, like, and then there's like this unintentional like competition
Yeah.
or judgment
It's
where it's
human
like,
nature to have that
like
competition. It is.
like where were you at? Where was I at? And like, okay, like maybe things aren't so bad for me, or like, oh wow, I'm way worse off, But then it's like, you get the situation like, oh, like that's all it was. This happened to me, and it's like we weren't even talking about you,
People,
So-
people in like recovery groups ever heard the term asshole contest? And anyone out here like who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about, of this idea of like, if you go outside smoking a cigarette at a rehab, if you say like, oh, I went through this bad thing, first thing you're gonna hear is, you went through that bad thing? That was nothing. I did this. I'm the biggest asshole. And then the next person goes, yeah, that's nothing. One time I did this terrible thing, and it was,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
no.
It's like, goes nowhere, It goes nowhere. Don't, you can't be that. I like, where you are right now should speak for itself. You don't got to worry about all that stuff, and you should never try to be the biggest asshole in the room.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason that stuff is in the past,
Yeah, I think that maybe some of that though might go back to that conversation of what now, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you don't have something to fill up that space, it's like, okay, well now maybe we could just talk about it over and over
Exactly.
again.
That's
and
what
that's
fills
not
the space
good.
a lot of times. It's just like the ghost of it,
Yeah.
But yeah, what now? That's the big question.
So before we wrap up, we talked a lot about art and creativity and getting through different progressions of life, right? But
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more just about the charity stuff that you do. Just
yeah.
try to like dig into that and explain it a little better.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
what it is. And
I'll
what
give
you're
you
doing.
the elevator pitch.
Cool.
Helping At organization I started with my partner. We Started out just doing like some benefit albums and raising money. Well, really, it was during like the George Floyd protests. A bunch of people I know got arrested
Yeah.
and like beat up by the police and everything and all this bad stuff. And most of them could like make bail okay, but a lot of people were in there for no good reason and couldn't make bail. So we got all our friends together, music friends, made a little compilation to raise money for bail. And it was pretty successful, and it got in the paper, and it raised a lot of money, and it helped people out. And it got me really inspired to kind of turn it into something. And we kind of pulled all our resources and all our connections and started this little charity. And our main thing is we give away free instruments. So anybody who has an old instrument laying around, maybe it's broken, maybe they don't use it, maybe it's not like the nicest one, and I got a new guitar, maybe then give it to us. We'll fix it, we'll clean it, we'll find someone who needs it, and we'll give it to them for free.
Nice.
That's what we do.
So I'm curious, like, with that idea, was a lot of that from like your experience in using music to help you get through recovery and
Oh,
seeing like the
absolutely.
power of like
Yes.
having just access to this?
That's what did it. That's
Yeah.
exactly why I did it, because I know how important it is. Because I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have an outlet.
Yeah.
Art and music, just something. Even just something like to fill that space in you, you know?
Absolutely.
It's so important. And it made such a huge difference for me, and I know it has made a lot of difference for a lot of other people. And I just thought if there was something that really would have helped me back then, and if the helping
Mhm.
out was out back then, I would have been like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. I can ask these people, they'll have an instrument for me, and they'll just give me an instrument,
Yeah.
you know?
No, I think that's
And every like
awesome.
DIY music person has at least one half broken guitar they don't use, or some old cables, or a mic they don't use, or old reeds from a woodwind or something.
Sure.
Everybody's got some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do with it. So I've made a lot of connections of like organizations like music schools and like um, different things like that, and like community centers and stuff, and just like people, and just like regular old people who just really want an instrument and can't afford one. We'll find
Yeah. And do you have like any like centralized place where people could go online or something to learn more about that?
you. You can go on Instagram at helpin at HELPINAHT helping at, and like on social media and stuff. And if you want to donate something, just message us. If you are requesting something, um, just message us. We give we give priority to people. If you don't have any instruments, you have priority. Or if you have like little kids,
Yeah.
you get priority. Obviously, kids get priority. Um, but if something comes in and you want it, you can have it. I'm not gonna ask any questions. You don't gotta fill any forms. You don't gotta give us your information. Tell us where you're at, or come to us, and we'll give it to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to promote or talk about before we wrap it up?
Well, I would love to promote, now that in-person events are happening. We're having a Helping Out event in September. Like I said, I'm not sure when this will air. Some might have already happened, but we'll hopefully do some more things like that, where they're basically DIY shows. We get bands who are really interested in our cause and stuff and helping us out, play some music, and then it's also a donation drive. So everyone can either pay for a ticket or bring in a donation, come in for free, bring all your friends for free then,
What day's the show?
It is on September the 3rd, Friday, at the Government Center on the North Side. And there's another one in October. I don't know the exact date.
Okay, cool. I can do my best. I'm looking at the schedule now. I can make this episode come out before then.
Yes.
Before
Then
September
if you're
3rd.
listening to this, I really hope you come to the Government Center on the 3rd
Nice. That's
and bring a donation, or, pay $10 for a ticket. Or if you have cables, reeds, old instruments, broken guitar neck, pack of guitar strings, violin bow, anything you don't need that could probably help somebody out, bring it. We'll fix it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, with all of that being said, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you for
Thank you
letting me.
for emailing me. I think that it's like really cool to have people that I'm not familiar with at all that
Yeah.
are doing cool
It was
stuff in the
kind of
city
fun to be able to
like,
make a first impression.
reach out, and now I know about this cool stuff that you're doing, and I've met a nice
Well, now I
human
know about
being.
this cool stuff you're doing.
Now hey, friendship makes the world go round. But yeah, no, I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm looking forward to the future. And
Yes.
seeing you around and
Doing
whatnot.
cool stuff.
Yeah, doing the cool stuff.
I had this on my chin the whole time. I didn't even notice.
I've gotten so used to like seeing them. I don't even think about it anymore.
I'll take it off for the last 2 seconds. Look at my chin. See it?
Yeah, there's nothing strange under there. It's just a chin.
I wasn't hiding something.
Well, with all of that being said, that is all, folks. Thanks so much for being here one more time, Sheridan.
Thank you for listening.
I'll be back again next week with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat. 2021. Woo, woo! Thanks for listening. And we did it. That was a podcast. We're done.
Wow.
It happened.
That was really, really fun.